Kenny Laguna.
Great being here with all these great talent, a lot of them friends.
Get up to the mic.
Into the mic. My coach is here, Joan. Lieber and Stoller may have been the greatest writing team in the early days of rock and roll. I suppose today it would be less than tasteful to hear them say they needed to find a drifters with white guys. When Sandy Aguda, Howie Kirschenbaum, Kenny Rosenberg, and Jay Traynor got signed with these idol makers, they didn't want to argue too much when Mike and Jerry came up with the name Binky Jones and the Americans. That was a goofy moniker, channeling their comedic coasters work more than the serious R&B of the Drifters. And John Traynor could not stand the thought of becoming Binky and suggested that since his family called him Jay to differentiate from his father, also John, perhaps they could use Jay rather than Binky Jones. And so Jay and the Americans was born. 2 Johns and a Dave. The rest is history. Technically, there was never a Jay. And so, I'm sorry my friend Kenny Vance Rosenberg isn't here tonight. His solo career, his solo career with the Planetones yielded the wonderful Looking for an Echo. And he accomplished many musical successes. But he will always have a great place in music history as a founding member of Jay and the Americans. There aren't many acts of so much substance and influence who are as underrated and unsung as Jay and the Americans. For starters, they had hit records on United Artists, a company that was an auxiliary of a major film company, mostly adept at selling anything that went along with a hit movie, and not really good at selling any other kind of recordings. So it was a miracle and testimony to unstoppable music that She Cried got to number 3 in the Billboard charts. While this was going on, Marty Coopersmith was serving 6 months in the National Guard. Marty had been playing guitar and writing songs and doing music with a friend named Dave. They were the 2 chaps. And his friends were at home having a hit record. They let Marty know there was a spot for him when he got out. And when he got out, he contributed to the LP that went with She Cried. And Marty played guitar for Jay and the Americans. He was making more than the group was, so they made him a partner. And then he realized he was making less. But before he got too aggravated, they had hits, and that cured the problem. Then Sandy, Howie, Marty, and Kenny pulled off another miracle when Jay Traynor left. And they were able to integrate Marty's friend Dave Black into the group. And that led to a run of success that was unmatched on the UA label. This core 4 had an uncanny ability to find talent in great songs. When Mike Stoller was less than enthused over the new Jay, Tom McCann's shoe salesman, Cantor, Dave Black, Artie Ripp came back with a great production of Come a Little Bit Closer, written by Boyce and Hart and the great Wes Farrell. Legend has it that record was number 12 and Artie was still mixing it. He's probably still mixing it. Now, Dave became Jay Black when TV host Mike Douglas mispronounced his name on TV, and then Jay started using Jay Black forever. He and Marty brought the idea of Caramia to Mike Stoller, who actually laughed at it. But the Americans had a vision for one of the most unique hits of the rock and roll era. I've always marveled how the tension level and the excitement of that record never wavers, even though the lyrics repeat 4 times without change. And people probably think there's a different verse, but there never is. The group was, amazingly, the one who first opened for the Beatles in the Washington Coliseum. And they were the first to open for the Rolling Stones when they arrived for their Carnegie Hall debut. The Beatles, of course, were the biggest phenomenon of all time. And an impatient audience was screaming for the Mop Tops. When Jay and the Americans hit the stage, Jay, who was one of the funniest and quickest witted entertainers ever, he told the Beatles fans, "Thanks for coming to see us tonight." But his delivery was better than mine. He's completely disarmed the hostile crowd. And having won them over, the Americans proceeded to knock their socks off. And that was an almost impossible task at that point. The Americans discovered a couple of young Bard College students who backed them on the road after college. Becker and Fagan got their start with Jay and the Americans and went on to become Steely Dan. Jay and the Americans gave Neil Diamond his first hit with Sunday and Me. And the man known as the Chick Magnet, Howie Kane Kirschenbaum, he gave me my first gig, songwriting gig at Kama Sutra. He started off Tiny Tim. He started off a lot of people. And he was the wildest guy I ever saw. I should mention that Marty lent Joan Jett, my wife Merrill, and me money to help fight the fight when we were struggling to get Blackheart Records off the ground. And he shared some Marty magic when we were writing the song Bad Reputation together. Howie and Sandy were both critically supportive when our quest seemed hopeless. For those who don't know, we couldn't get a label deal, so we started a label, and we still have it today. There came a time when the British invasion wiped out most of the American groups of the early 60s. Sandy Aguda to the rescue. The industry has given up on Jay and the Americans. I was there. They were unwanted. And Sandy came in, took the reins of production, and made a top 10 record with This Magic Moment. And also the beautiful Sands of Time LP. And Marty, the man attached to the guitar, he did the incredible intro to that. It's just like a seminal guitar part. The follow-up LP had another big hit, Walking in the Rain. Time went on. The group had a breakup. Jay left and performed without the real Americans until Sandy, Marty, and Howie reformed as the founding original members with Jay number 3, John Reinke, Jay Reinke, Jay number 3, who's here with us tonight. And so, for the last 15 years, the world has been able to enjoy one of the great original groups of the rock era with an awesome collection of phenomenal music. It is my distinct honor to welcome Jay and the Americans into the East Coast Music Hall of Fame.